Welcome, Starfinders, to Starfinder Week. My name is Cody. This is Taking20, a channel about all things role-playing games. And today we're continuing our coverage of Starfinder's core races by taking a closer look at the Shirren, Starfinder's polarizing insect race. So, I hope you guys are ready. Let's get started. Okay guys, so before we jump in and talk about the Shirren, I want to give a big thank you to my sponsor here for Starfinder Week, Miniature Market. I personally have been shopping at Miniature Market since I discovered them back in 2015 because their prices are killer and they carry pretty much everything for gamers. So if you love board games, trading card games, or if you're looking for tabletop miniatures, Miniature Market has got you covered. And of course, if you guys want to snag some serious discounts on Starfinder's full lineup, be sure to check out the link down in the description below. It'll take you guys right to everything Starfinder, and it'll let Miniature Market know that I sent you over. So whatever you're into, Miniature Market is the place for all of your gaming needs. All right, guys, so let's take a look at the Shirren. The Shirren were once a part of the Swarm, but a mysterious mutation caused an entire sub-colony to break off from the Swarm's hive mind. When these mutated versions of the Swarm began to start forming their own consciousness, they quickly became obsessed with freedom of choice, and they eventually went on to form their own race, what we now know as the Shirren. This new race of Shirren rejected the Swarm's constant mindless consumption and scattered to many nearby systems, eventually with a large subset of them finding their way to the Pact Worlds. Once there, they initially settled on the Fulbright section of Verces in its vast section of desert lands, but now the Shirren are common throughout the entire system of the Pact Worlds. Shirren are arthropods, meaning that their bodies are segmented, they have an exoskeleton, and they have jointed appendages. But unlike other insect-like races, they walk upright and use their three-pronged hands to grab and manipulate items. Now, they do also have an additional set of arms known as mating arms protruding from their midsections, but these are weak and really only used for either ceremonial or reproductive reasons, and using them for anything else is seen as repulsive and shameful. When it comes to gender and reproduction, the Shirren are also quite unusual. They actually have three genders: male, female, and host. While the male and female provide the bits that you might expect, those are then given over to the host to incubate and to add their own genetic material. Hosts, sometimes referred to as a queen, might even incubate for many different families and are often considered the true parent to the offspring, where in other Shirren families, a three-party marriage is considered the norm. Shirren are fiercely independent. After having once belonged to the hive mind of the Swarm, they've actually mutated to receive neurological pleasure whenever they make choices for themselves. This makes picking their own religion one of the most important things to a Shirren. And while they do highly value their own independence, they're still quite communal in nature. And they work very well with other races and really appreciate the value of teamwork, making them great companions for any starship crew. All right, guys, so let's jump in and take a look at the numbers. The Shirren get a +2 bonus to both Constitution and to Wisdom, and they receive their penalty to Charisma. They also snag a racial hit point bonus of 6 HP, which is tied among the highest of all races. As far as racial traits go, the Shirren get some of the absolute best traits in the game, in my opinion. The first is Blind Sense. Now, this works out to 30 feet and allows Shirren to ignore stealth bonuses from any form of visual camouflage or invisibility. However, I do want to point out that this does not give them an advantage when attacking an invisible foe, and it only eliminates the +20 stealth bonus against a Shirren's perception check. I can easily see this causing a few misinterpretations at the table, so make sure that you really understand how this works if you're going to play a Shirren. The next racial trait is Communalism. Now this lets a Shirren reroll any attack or skill check as long as they have an ally within 10 feet of them once per day. And they still get to take the higher result of the two rolls, so they're not just stuck with the reroll. The next is Cultural Fascination, which gives the Shirren a bonus to both culture and diplomacy checks. And finally, we have Limited Telepathy, which allows Shirren players to communicate telepathically with anyone so long as they share a language. Shirren adventurers are often a bit more passive in nature than other races. However, due to their loyalty and sense of greater good, when they're pushed, they are fearless. When looking at what classes fit best with the Shirren, the obvious choice is the Mystic. Both mechanically and thematically, the Mystic and the Shirren pair perfectly. The +2 to Wisdom and Constitution are no-brainers for the Mystic, and the hit to Charisma will have little to no drawback. Blind Sense could help prevent the Wisdom-heavy class from being further caught off guard in an ambush, and their Communalism ability works for both melee and ranged attacks. And with the strong religious theme of the Shirren, the Mystic just synergizes really, really well with the Shirren. Now, when it comes to other classes, I'll say that in my opinion, Shirren are almost as versatile as humans and androids. And I feel like maybe Paizo foresaw some people being turned off from the Shirren just because they are a purely insect race, and so that they tried to compensate for that by giving the Shirren so much utility. Soldier is another viable class. The extra Constitution and bump to Wisdom to help will saves for a soldier are fantastic, and the Shirren's Communalism ability just needs an ally within 10 feet. So a Mechanic's Drone, for instance, could help trigger this for melee builds in the front line. And for most of the same reasons that Shirrens make good soldiers, they also work really well for heavy tank Solarian builds. You will take a hit to the Solarion's main stat if you play a Shirren. It's not insurmountable. Additionally, of the Solarion's 10 class skills, only 2 of them rely solely on Charisma, with one of those being Diplomacy, a skill that the Shirren already get a bonus to. Even the Envoy Shirren isn't realistic. While again, taking a -2 to your class's main stat is something that you'll want to be careful about, a Shirren Envoy that could be the face of the party and then communicate back to your party telepathically while negotiating with an enemy or a foe, and perhaps even distracting an individual that you're engaged with could be very, very effective. And again, with skills for the Envoy, the only 2 that might have to deal with a bit of a shortcoming on your Charisma mod are Bluff and Disguise Self, neither of which are so important that a -1 to those would make the class unplayable for a Shirren. And grouping the Mechanic, Technomancer, and Operative all in one, these classes, again, have no major issues with the Shirren that you should really worry about. All 3 of them will enjoy the Shirren's extra life, bonus to will saves, and very versatile racial traits. So what do you guys think about the Shirren? Is this a race that you're excited to play, or are you still turned off by their insect appearance? And do you think that they're as strong as I do? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, be sure to check out the video's description for a full guide to all of the coverage here for Starfinder Week on the channel. I'm going to be releasing 28 videos over the next 3 weeks. So if you're looking for a place to keep up with everything Starfinder, I've got you covered. If this is your first time here and you love role-playing games as much as I do, I'd love to have you subscribe. Every week I'll be putting out new videos on GM tips, player tips, tutorials, and more. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, just hit that subscribe button down below and come join us. Once again, I want to give a special thank you to my sponsor, Miniature Market, for making these videos possible. And thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Cody, and may your games be filled with awesome memories and even better friends. I'll catch you guys next time.